been about 7 days, and I've traveled almost 2,000 miles as we have zigzagged across the western seaboard against the Pacific Ocean, traveling all the way down ultimately to San Diego. And while we've traveled a lot, it's also enabled me to reach some conclusions about the behavior of autopilot on a freeway, about the behavior as it relates to changing lanes, indicating changing lanes, using the HOV lane, getting onto the exits. There's some quite strange things that I've detected. They can get you a little nervous sometimes. Sometimes you think, has autopilot gone crazy? Why is it doing this? Sometimes there's a logical reason, and it's our fault, my fault. But many times, I'm puzzled. So I share these with you in the sense that I'm puzzled by how it behaves, and there are probably brighter minds out there and people who've done a lot more traveling than even I have, and I'd love to hear from you. If you have answers to certain of these behaviors, I'd love to hear exactly what, in your opinion, has caused it. Now, before we begin, something that's just a little personal at this point. I have 2 daughters. I love them both dearly. Both of those daughters you saw in our earlier episode called Autopilot First Reactions by My Family. You remember that Jillian, the eldest, and Philippa, the youngest, handled them in quite different ways. Now, look at the thing. Is it there?
Yep.
Double tap, Phil. Double tap down.
That little thingy?
Yeah, double tap. Let go.
Okay.
Let everything go.
Gosh, that's terrifying.
Don't touch, don't do anything.
Can we make it follow that mean woman?
No, we're gonna follow the mean woman. I want to say something quickly about Philippa right now. She spent 2 months recently in Beirut, Lebanon, helping refugees, kids without parents, orphans. She worked for 2 months on a volunteer basis. She did a really good job, and the organization she went out with has asked her to come back and do a full year. Obviously, it's an unpaid position, and obviously, she leaves her job in Canada. She's been tasked with having to raise a certain amount of money to keep her in accommodation and food and transportation while she's there, so she's not a burden to them. She feels so passionate about going that she's prepared to put her job on hold and prepared to have to herself raise money to do this. But I want you to hear it directly from Philippa.
Hi everyone, my name is Philippa Levy, and I've just returned home from a 2.5-month stint in Beirut, Lebanon, where I was lucky enough to serve with an organization that was doing some missions work, specifically focusing on the Syrian refugee crisis that's currently unfolding in Lebanon. I was helping mainly the Syrian children, which was really exciting, and I was also assisting a local university with their accreditation process. It was a really amazing opportunity for me to be able to help these kids and these Syrian families after they've come from their own country, which has been completely devastated, and they've just lost their land, their families, their livelihoods. And so it's been an amazing opportunity just to be able to be there and assist them with things like food and clothing and games, and just, you know, having a little bit of fun and bringing that into their lives. The organization I was volunteering with has offered me some unpaid positions to come back and again work with the Syrian refugees, specifically the children, in a local orphanage. The organization has set a target of about $27,000, and this of course will cover accommodation, food, transportation, anything I would need for living in Lebanon for a year. I only have about 2 months to get to that target, as the year will begin at the end of September. Now, to me, $27,000 seems like an impossible target to get to, especially in 2 months' time. But I really believe in this mission, and I really believe in what I'm being called to do there. And so I can only hope that there are other people watching this that also hold that same desire and that same call to assist in Lebanon. And if you are one of those people, I would greatly appreciate your financial support as you partner with me. It means a lot to me that you are willing and able to contribute and support me, and I won't let you down.
Putting navigate on autopilot, we're apparently meant to turn San Diego. So let's have a look. Right, it's moving us into the next lane. And it's going to move us into the next lane. This is amazing. amazing, and it's traveling aggressively. There we go. And it's got another lane to do. That's this one. Brilliant. And another lane change. And there, in the space of less than half a mile, it moved us right across the freeway from the fastest to the turning lane. That's impressive. So when Autopilot behaves like that, it's to be commended. That's what it should be doing, and that's what it did right now. But it didn't do that last night. Let me explain. The other day, I was traveling down what was a 6-lane freeway, and I had a turnoff to take that would eventually get me into Newport Beach. I was traveling along in the HOV lane, which of course is on the extreme left, your side. I was getting closer and closer to where the turnoff would be, and it was 6 lanes across the freeway, because including my lane, there were 6. And I had to get to the right-hand side in order to take the exit to get to where I wanted to go. Navigator on Autopilot saw that that was where I had to exit, and I was just getting nervous because it was like 3/4 of a mile, and normally Autopilot pushes you across lane by lane, as you just saw earlier, and it does it very efficiently. But it wasn't doing it. And I thought, well, let me just help it, and I indicated to go right. I pushed up the indicator stalk, I turned right, it moved into the lane, which is the fast lane of normal traffic. And then it moved right back into the HOV lane. It showed no inclination. It did not say lane change upcoming or upcoming lane change. And I knew I'd miss it. The road was pretty busy. So I just put the indicator on, took over manual control, and jumped my way through the 5 lanes, getting to the exit just in time. If any of you brighter sparks than myself understand this, would you put it in the comments below, because I don't. Passed a truck on the right, and it's indicating to go right, which is great, so that we move out of the fast lane and back into the normal lane. So as you can see, nothing ahead for a long time. Based on that fact, the car will actually stay, will not move as we travel south on the I-5. So, just giving some early notice here, we have a truck up ahead, which is traveling slightly slower than we are. Notice that I am on Navigate on Autopilot, which is the setting you have to have it in order for it to change lanes at its own discretion. Yeah, the roads are terrible. Potholes all the way here. Okay, we're getting closer now. The speed differential is not that great, because I think the truck is really traveling very close to 70 miles an hour. We're traveling exactly 70 miles per hour. So as we're going up an incline, I'm guessing that the truck will slow down a little bit. There we go. The car is now indicating that it thinks we should pass. Let's take a look here. So there we are, it moved into the fast lane. And there's plenty of trucks ahead, so it's worth staying in this lane. I think it will choose that option itself. One truck that decided to pass the others. Well, clearly Red Dragon is going to decide to remain in the fast lane, even though the truck's here, because the slow lane is not any better at all. There we go, the car is slowing down automatically. Hopefully the truck moves across into the right lane. And it is. And we should be picking up speed any moment now. There we are. Half an hour away from the Kettleman superchargers, and that's going to be quite an event. It's the first time I've been to a supercharging station with more than 16 chargers. Kettleman, I think, has around 40. It also has a lounge and kind of a restaurant, certainly a place where you've got decent Wi-Fi, desks, some chairs. Hopefully it doesn't charge too quickly and they kick us out. we're going to enjoy a stop, and apparently you can get Tesla coffee. So I ordered the ludicrous latte, which has 1 extra shot of espresso, and it's labeled with L. For ludicrous, of course. Vending machines on the side here with everything else that you might want. Car's deciding we need to go back into the regular lane, so we don't sit in the passing lane, and it did that very smoothly. So, one of the strange behaviors with regard to lane changes is the way that Autopilot often puts you in the fastest lane even though you've set your speed slower than the surrounding traffic. So right now I'm not on Navigator on Autopilot. I'm going to turn this on, and I'm telling you it's going to push me from this middle lane right across to the left hand side. Let's do that. Navigator on Autopilot, see what happens. Here we go. It's waiting for the car to pass. Here we go, going left. Now remember, I'm going 68 miles per hour. It's a 65 zone. There's a car coming up left, and it's indicating to push me into the left lane. So here we go. I'm now in the fastest lane on this freeway, and even if cars come up behind me, it's not going to move me out. It's just going to let me keep going, and the cars will build up behind, and eventually one of them will want to throw a brick through my window. So this is a really weird behavior. So let me indicate it right. So I go back into the second fastest lane. Okay, here we are, safely sitting here. Instantly it says, let's go left. And here we go again. It pushes me back into the fastest lane. Bear in mind, I'm only doing 68. There's a white car coming up behind me, which is traveling much faster. He's really going to get irritated very shortly. So, no problem. I'm going to move across to the right lane, let him pass. It moves very smoothly, but within seconds, it's going to want to push me back again as soon as this car is gone. It sees that there are two cars. When the second car has gone by, pretty certain, there we go, it's doing it. And I'm going to cancel that, but it'll do it again. So now I have to actually drop out of Navigate, and now it'll stay in this lane endlessly. That's a serious problem, because often you're not wanting to go as fast as the fastest car. In fact, you're going to be breaking the speed limit by a large amount. I want to sit in a lane that allows the other cars to get by and not have to be moved back and forth for no reason. We're still 5 miles away from a turnoff to San Diego. So that's one of the weird behaviors with respect to lane changing on a multi-lane freeway. So one of the things that the car does very well is to indicate when a lane is going slower than the speed you've posted and suggest that you move into the faster lane. So we're coming up behind that van, and it's definitely going to cause us to slow down. So the car looks behind, checks that the lane's clear. Just when you wanted to do it, it doesn't do it. Alright, now there are cars coming up quickly behind us, so it's not going to attempt to go now. And now it is.
Jeez, these cars are coming up fast. Oh, you got right in front of that guy.
I didn't. Janine, he was not going that fast. Trust me. So where it had a long, long gap with no cars, it didn't go then. And then all of a sudden, when the cars came up, it let the first one go by. And then it indicated left and pulled out very quickly. Mad Max mode to blame for that. I'm confused about why it didn't actually pull out when there were no cars coming up in the left lane. Some of the other things that can be a little irritating when you're driving on the freeway and the car decides it's time to change the lane. So often it will do it when there's a car coming up, and it will indicate, and the car behind sometimes feels a little sorry for me and it slows down a bit, but Red Dragon is still waiting for it to pass. So it sits there indicating. The car behind goes a little slowly out of deference and willingness to let me in, but the car doesn't move. It's waiting for the car behind to pass. And I have to just force it and jump into the lane and thank the driver behind. See, it doesn't act like a human in that sense. We know that if we put the indicator on, the minute somebody shows a little bit of weakness and they're going to slow down, we jump. We also know that if a car's coming up very fast, we don't indicate. We don't want to give the guy the idea that we're about to jump his lane and cause any harm to him. So we leave the indicator off, and then we see a bit of a gap, we quickly put it on, and we jump to it. So that's a little frustrating that Autopilot has not yet risen to the level of humanness where it does that, where it mimics our behavior. And then there's the third thing that comes up sometimes, and that has to do with the way it changes lanes. Much of the time, when it changes on its own, it is ultra smooth. It turns, it doesn't jerk into the lane, it just glides into the lane. It's absolutely beautiful, and it continues at the same speed. That's when there's no cars around. But when there's a car in the right lane in front, it will often slow down before moving across, even when it's not needed, when a human would not do that. It slows down, and the cars behind get a big fright because they see me slowing down while I'm turning. And again, that's not human. It's not the way people drive. So my call to the engineers at Tesla is this. Let's focus a little bit on making the car respond in more human-like ways. And that's very easy to do. Just get yourself out the freeway and drive manually. And take a note of everything you do when you want to indicate you want to change a lane, and when you do change lanes. Look at the way you do it, the way you enter a new lane. That's what we want from the car. We don't want it to have these weird hesitations and sudden slowdowns. It's got to look at the cars and analyze. And speaking of that, is there perhaps a need for a radar unit under the rear fender? We have one on the front, and that determines the speed and the proximity and the rate of approach. But we don't have one on the back. We have sensors which don't operate beyond more than a few feet. And we have cameras which may be the key to it, but then the cameras have to determine the rate of speed and whether cars behind are accelerating. Wouldn't a radar unit behind that rear fender do it so much more efficiently? I'm only asking. Anyway, I'll be putting out another video in a day or two, different topic this time. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you benefit by it. And so thanks once again for supporting the channel. If you've not yet subscribed to it, please click on the subscribe button. Please click on the notification bell, because what's the point of subscribing if you never know when I'm uploading new stuff? So subscribing and notification are already one and the same thing. Do both of them. Until then, drive safely out there, watch your back, and I'll see you in the next episode.